Hi, everybody. Okay, let's get started. Let's see, adjust this a little bit. Okay, so let's get started. We are almost at 1 o'clock in the morning. This is what it takes. This is what it takes. Thousands and thousands of letters, thousands of podcasts. They're not monetized. They're not monetized. That's what it takes to, all the investigation, all the research, absolutely having thick skin, the thickest skin ever, because you're going to be attacked left and right. And no fear. You can't have any fear except for of God, right? Of God alone. That's it. That's what it takes. And this is and hard work, a lot of hard work and late nights is what it takes to get justice. And it just makes you wonder, why do we pay taxes? Why do we pay taxes? I think, yeah, we have absolutely been exploited, haven't we? We the people have been exploited. And, when you have a absolute hero soldier son, Richard, absolutely stellar soldier, hero. Um, the words of President Trump um, are just amazing and still don't even express um, just the courage that Richard had to have while facing, and we have the videos of while facing retaliation from every side, everywhere he looked. And the people that were supposed to help him and secure his safety and take his complaints and do something about it, turned against him, was weaponized against him, actually participated in taking his life. And, it's just, yeah, so here we are at 2026 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room. He was under whistleblower protection, and that his detail didn't show up, and they forcibly removed him from his room, took him downstairs to the basement room, the soundproof room, the arms room, and they took his life. They took his life there. And because this was a code red, because CID was involved, because DES was involved, because Richard's chain of command was involved in taking his life, they were able to steal his body off of Fort Bliss because DES Thomas Kane was involved. Didn't, he controls all the cameras, all the gates, the gate guards. They were able to steal Richard's body off of Fort Bliss, take a United States soldier, whistleblower soldier that was under protection off of our military installation, okay, by the very individuals that we pay our taxpayers' money for to protect and secure our volunteer sons and daughters, our national secrets, our weapons, um, our military installation. And they absolutely were compromised, betrayed us, and allowed our son's body to be taken off of Fort Bliss and trafficked into Mexico, where evidence indicates that his organs were harvested, dismembered, disposed of there at the evidence indicates Plenitude Crematorium, whose owners, Rosa Maria Purchase Arellano Quran. That means a lot to a lot of El Pasoans and also in Juarez, because Purchase Funeral Homes is like the biggest funeral homes there. Huge, huge company. Um, they're they are the owners, that family are the owners of Plenitude Crematorium, where they recently raided and discovered over 400 rotting corpses piled up like cardwood. Even though the oven was working, the crematorium oven was working, and yet people were getting pulverized construction materials, or maybe even animal ashes in urns, and for the money of a crematorium of one of their loved ones, lying, oh, this is your daddy here in this urn, and it was pulverized construction material. Um, what were they doing with the bodies? And then we find out that in Ukraine, the one of the major members of Zelensky's administration was delving into black magic with corpses and draining the water from them and putting them into like dolls in his chest of death, or whatever, chest of the dead. Um, and we know about this um, terrible pipeline. Um, and we have breaking news. Thank you. Chest of the dead. Sorry about that. Thank you so much. I see your comments now, Laura. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm very, very sorry. She's telling me that her 17-year-old child, I don't know, I think it's a daughter, was hit by a car, and I'm very sorry. I hope she's okay, or he. I hope your child's okay. Retaliation is so big, and they use the cars. Okay, they use the cars, and they use the cars against Richard too. Um, it's terrible, and that's why we're working very, very hard. Um, and today was a really, really good day to stop this pipeline. The southern border of this pipeline has been absolutely decimated. The pipeline has been decimated. Okay. Is it totally broken? Um, I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Because you know, can you imagine in our consulate office there in Juarez? And I don't know um, why um, Foley is not out of there yet, right? Why Foley is not out of there. But in that consulate office, Epstein was having his, sex parties there. Um, in Juarez. It's just right over. It's a stone throw over the border. You can walk over there from El Paso. El Paso and Juarez are like one big city, with a border in between it. You can just walk right over the bridge, and you're in Mexico. Um, and yeah, so just think of how blatant they were to have their parties, very, very vile and vulgar parties, in the U.S. consulate's office or buildings there in Juarez with Jeffrey Epstein, right? Um, it just tells you how blatant they were. Um, they had compromised enough officials and law enforcement, politicians, um, that they just thought they could operate with impunity. And they did for a while, didn't they? They did for a while. Cesar Duarte. I heard today, I thought it was like 14 houses, but we've got more information that it was like 20 houses because it was also in New Mexico, houses in New Mexico. And Cesar Duarte is married to a Fong. The Fong family, along with the oh, what's that name? It'll come to me. I'm doing everything by memory. I'm doing everything by memory. I have no earpieces. I have no notes. Um, the Mejia family, the Mejia and Fong family, they own the Dreams Cabaret strip joint, and right beside the empty lot with all of the tactical move storage units, or you could call them shipping containers, that, of course, officials have absolutely confirmed that they were dropping children off at these empty parking lots at strip joints with shipping containers to traffic them. And we know that Fort Bliss alone, 10,000 bed emergency intake center, was trafficking up to a half a million children between 2021 and I think it was shut down 2023. So, and they had camps before them. They just went turbo for us in March of 2021. They just went turbo. They just absolutely thought they had impunity, and they just were trafficking like crazy. But they were doing it before what Richard was reporting. And so this Dreams Cabaret, we know that one of the prime suspects in our son's case, Leilani Hart, was getting her mail there. Okay, we know that she was getting her mail there at Dreams Cabaret. We know that there are more connections with Dreams Cabaret. And now, of course, the Mejia Fong family, you have Cesar Duarte's wife being a Fong. You have Delia Briones, the El Paso County clerk, her connection with that family. She's part of that family. And also Patrick Brookshire. I don't know if you remember Patrick Brookshire. How can we forget? We can't forget, because here he is, a state trooper, and he's just absolutely violating everything. He's getting paid, or was getting paid. I don't know what they did with him. They should have fired his butt. Uh, but he was getting paid about $100,000 a year. Not quite, but almost $100,000 a year from taxpayers to be a trooper, to be a trooper. And what is he doing? Weaponizing that against a Gold Star family, against a Gold Star family, asking questions because his wife is connected to the Mejia Fong family. Okay, that runs Dreams Cabaret, that owns the Mejia Fong family, owns the Dreams Cabaret, unless they just sold it recently. But Leilani Hart was getting her mail there. And now we have confirmation that not only Leilani Hart, but her husband, they got a divorce in between all of this because, anyway, that's a tactic. Um, that James Courtney Hart, right? Also, both of them had cars registered to Dreams Cabaret. Okay, that only happens if you're trying to hide something, right? Trying to manipulate something, right? So that is really big breaking news. That is, really, look, Leilani Hart is just so poison. She is so toxic. She is so deceptive. She is a pollutant. She's a pollutant, and she hurts people. She hurts families. She is just very, very bad, and part of the Mormon faction El Paso cartel. Okay. She is part of the Mormon faction El Paso cartel. And her confession, that was so bad. Her confession to the accepted by the FBI, absolutely, she should be arrested. There is no if, but maybes, allegedlys, nothing. She needs to be arrested. Okay? She needs to be arrested. And now to find out that James Courtney Hart, you know, um, had also a registered, and they ran Hart Childcare. Okay, they ran Hart Childcare, right? While pursuing, and Leilani Hart was pursuing a badge. She wanted a law enforcement badge, right? Some kind of law enforcement badge. That's what she wanted. Um, I mean, that's so scary. That is just like the worst thing. And so we've been talking about them for years because the son is the prime suspect. Well, they are prime suspects too, but their son, Dallas Hart, was Richard's platoon leader and a prime suspect in our son's taking our son's life, um, forcibly removing him. And of course, Tavita Nusa, a CID agent who in 2021 also had his badge removed, um, and was separated from the military. Um, and he was absolutely so dirty, so dirty. And his brother Solomon Anusa, and part of the Mormon faction El Paso cartel. Okay, Solomon Anusa, over mortuary operations. Yeah, so they all need to be investigated. It's happening. It's all happening. And to get this information is indication of that. To get this information that their vehicles, Lilani and James Hart vehicles, and of course she goes by different names now and everything, but were registered at Dreams Cabaret is very, very big news. So, and I mean, that just happened. That's why I'm coming on so late. So I didn't even get a chance to change the title or anything on this podcast. Because, the other news is the confirmation of the land that William Sanders purchased. And who is William Sanders? Well, he's a billionaire, right? He's a billionaire. A lot of real estate, right? A lot of real estate, a lot of storage units, okay, a lot of warehouses, all right. And he's from Chicago. He's from Chicago originally, and his son-in-law is Robert Francis O'Rourke, Beto O'Rourke. That's his son-in-law, okay? And matter of fact, Beto O'Rourke married Bill Sanders' daughter on his ranch he purchased in 1990. It could be early 1991, but I think 1990. There, right there in Lammy, in New Mexico, right there, the neighbor of Zorro Ranch. I mean, let's go over for tea. Let's go over to Kaylee in Ireland. That's what we say. Let's go over to have a Kaylee, right? Let's go meet up and everything. They were right there, and really interesting things that you can see um, from Google Earth and stuff like that. But gosh, they're very, very close to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and Santa Fe, New Mexico has ties to Oprah and Obama. And we know that there are ties to Oprah and Obama in this whole thing. Um, uh, uh, Obama was like, "Oh, Beto is me when I was younger. Beto is the younger me," and they were absolutely pushing Beto O'Rourke to become president of the United States. First senator, he lost that. Then president of the United States, he lost that. And of course, um, Obama was the community organizer for Chicago. And then, of course, Oprah. Everyone knows Oprah is from the Windy City of Chicago. Uh, and now Beto O'Rourke's father in law, Bill Sanders, is from the Windy City of Chicago. And then, right before we came on, breaking news again, Thomas Pritchard. Thomas Pritzker, yeah. Thomas Pritzker of Hyatt Hotels, right? Billionaire, has now resigned because of his ties to Epstein, and he absolutely had ties to Zorro Ranch. And we just received breaking news before. I mean, we had just so much breaking news today that New Mexico has voted um, to investigate Zorro Ranch. So the earlier this week, they were just going to, the New Mexico was just going to uh, investigate the hillside around Zorro Ranch. Well, now, right before I came on, they said that they voted for investigating and searching Zorro Ranch. So that is really big news because the owner of Zorro Ranch was picked by Governor Abbott to be like the comptroller of Texas, in charge of all the money of Texas. Can you believe it? I mean, can you believe it? I mean, what kind of blackmail do they have on Abbott? I mean, I'm just wondering out loud, y'all. It just seems like they must have some kind of yeah, blackmail on him. Because that's their playbook, to compromise, to blackmail, to whatever. And for Abbott to pick the owner of Zorro Ranch to be comptroller of Texas. I mean, Texas, y'all, the money, to control the money in Texas could be its own country. Its economy is so big. So this is so ridiculous. It's we the people have to speak up, and here I am. Nothing would stop me, even at 1 o'clock in the morning, even at 2 o'clock in the morning. Nothing's going to stop me from coming on and telling you what's going on, right? What's going on. And now this pipeline, clearly, with Thomas Pritzker being, absolutely resigning and being named severely over and over, continuously and severely over and over, um, is forced to resign from Hyatt Hotels, connected to, Santa Fe, Zorro Ranch, and with Obama. So you got all of these Chicagoans interested in Zorro Ranch and Santa Fe, right there where Bill Sanders ranches also, and Beto O'Rourke gets married on Sanders Ranch, and is um, very cozy with Obama, very cozy with Oprah, who was heavily promoting John of God, right? And you can't get more disgusting than that. You can't get more disgusting with John of God, okay? And he's still alive, and in Brazil, and he was arrested. Late December in 2018, I believe. And of course, Jeffrey Epstein then in 2019. And when did um, Bill Sanders, sell his ranch? When did he buy it? When did he sell it? At the same time as Epstein, both times. Of course, Epstein was, supposedly no longer alive. I don't know if I believe that now, with all of his work trying to live forever and never wanting to meet his maker to get judged, right? He didn't want to get judged. He wanted to live forever. So I don't believe the narrative. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where, because look, my mother was born in Germany, a lot of relatives in Germany. We don't believe the story about, the funny guy with the mustache either. We don't believe the narrative, right? Um, Maybe he ended up in Brazil. Maybe, maybe John of God is somehow like the spirit of the funny guy with the mustache. I don't know. Um, Very evil, very evil. Okay. So, it just a lot, so much going on that, I'm trying to sort it out in my brain so I can tell you in a way that you can understand this. That pipeline just grew. The Epstein John of God pipeline just grew, and it grew up to Chicago. Chicago to Santa Fe, Zorro Ranch, and this want for Bill Sanders to have control of the White House, right? Putting in millions of dollars to millions and millions of dollars. It could be over $1 billion between Obama and Oprah and others that wanted this Santa Fe lab, the whole Ponzi scheme of the lab, and all of the terrible things going on at the ranch and the border. They wanted access to the border. The border is so vital for their exploitation, okay? For the exploitation of their operations, okay, of their operations. And so they were putting a lot of money, a lot of hope into Beto O'Rourke to capture the White House. That's what they were doing. Can you believe it? I mean, and Beto, I've been sent so many things. I've been sent pictures of him in a dress when he's in the band and doing the worst type of things. It's just so bad. It's so bad, y'all. We didn't want him as a president. I don't care if you're left side or right side. We did not want him as president. He is just out of control. Out of control. Yeah. Um, and so, this new part of the pipeline from Chicago down through New Mexico, the ranches down through Mexico and over through the Caribbeans to St. Thomas, the little St. Thomas. And then, of course, you have the fuel coming from Caracas. And um, that has all been, I mean, President Trump knew what he was doing. He went after south of the border. He went after the south of the border. He choked it out, decimated that pipeline, and he absolutely had all of these leaders extradited, the ones that lived through all of the chaos after being called an FTO, and Cesar Duarte, loads, y'all, dozens, dozens and dozens of cartel leaders, part of this Mormon faction cartel alliance. Okay, this Mexican alliance with the Mormon faction El Paso cartel, and that Mormon faction El Paso cartel is also, part of the colonies there in Mexico. So the colonies, if you don't know what those are the polygamous Mormons. And Colin Wetton is from that area. I think they even tried to start a bank over there. They very wealthy. They've just been at this for a long time, up to no good. And um, so many of these Mexican cartel leaders, from the financial ones to the ones that run the tunnels. Well, that cartel leader was killed. To all of these drug traffickers and the gun, the Iran Contra or the Fast and Furious. Yeah, all of that. Um, so many, dozens and dozens of these cartel leaders have been arrested and extradited to the United States. And of course, we know El Chapo and El Mayo and El Chapo's children, and they made plea deals, and even El Mayo made plea deals. Um, and even the governor of Puerto Rico. She just got a pardon. To me, that is a huge plea deal because, she didn't distribute all of the aid that President Trump sent during his first administration when they had the hurricane and people were in such need, and he had all has set all this stuff there, and she just kept it in a warehouse and she didn't distribute it to make President Trump look bad, right? To make people suffer, so they didn't like precedent. Yeah, I mean, these people are so evil. But he gave her a pardon, and I'm like, okay, if he's gonna give her a pardon, he did the art of the deal with her. What did she sing? She had to sing something really good in order to get that pardon. Let me tell you. So, a lot El Mayo singing, El Chapo singing, the El Chapo's son singing, all of these financial cartel guys, that handle all the money, right? I think maybe that's why Cesar Duarte was arrested, and of course his wife is a Fong. Is that the Chinese connection? I don't know. Is that the Chinese connection? Because that connection is here. That connection is part of this. And remember that they got caught not too long ago in China trying to ship containers out to North Korea with our military gear in it from Texas. Okay, that's El Paso. So they were absolutely trafficking anything that wasn't bolted down. Okay, and I'm including in that uniforms and all of that. Okay, so yes, you can say weapons, you can say ammunition, you can say drugs, you can say God forbid, children, but it absolutely happened. Um, and everything, everything. Um, but yeah, they had just exploited our military, our government, the border, right? And they can easily go over that border. And that was going into North Korea. North Korea, of course, is, I don't want to say it's China, but it is really an alliance with China. So, um, yeah, that tells you a lot, because where, was it going through just North Korea or what? So there is a lot of investigation to do. Um, and I just can't even imagine all the things that are breaking right now. Um, it's it's revealing another part of, an extension of the pipeline. And I wish I could do on my map Ukraine, right? Because Ukraine is part of that. And we're going to get our feelings hurt if we don't start seeing the truth, that it's called epistemological self consciousness, to know, and admit what you know it to be true, right? To know what is true. And something is really wrong with Ukraine and what was going on there. So let me let me read. And of course we had a great President's Day. It's not President's Day any longer, and um, I hope everyone enjoyed that. So I just want to say we have a really, really awesome president right now. I'm wearing his MAGA hat. There's people that, uh, you know, whatever, they have their opinions and they're allowed, but I'm allowed to have my opinion too. And we are absolutely amazed at what Trump is able to get done under such retaliation and uh, just this infiltrated. military and government that he has to work for, work with, work with. Um, and so, yeah, and he's just getting it done, even with all of this opposition, which I call mutiny. I call it mutiny because he got voted in and he got voted with a mandate. And, we have a lot of mutinous people because they were involved in these financial instruments, right? In these financial instruments, and not from, eternal life financial instruments. Okay. Only God can give you that. Um, if anyone wants to sell you that, if you have, a lookalike of Jeffrey Epstein, because there's so many double gangers now, there's so many double gangers or so many lookalikes now, because they were having lots and lots of children, right? They were telling you not to have children. They were making it difficult for you to not have children. They were making women have to go and work, making all the bills so high that women had no choice, and that men they just pounded them down so they couldn't really provide for the family without help from their wife, right? And then the stress of it makes the family very difficult to maintain. And, then we have a lot of broken families, right? And they're telling you not to have families, not to have, and they're having loads and loads and loads of children, not for the right reasons, but they're having loads and loads of children. So there's all these double gangers, right? And let's say some double ganger comes up to you and says, "Hey, I have a deal. I can monetize eternal life, and so you can live forever and be really, really rich. How does that sound? Let me have all your savings, right?" Just tell them to go jump off a cliff, right? No, I can't say jump off a cliff. Just say, "Get behind me, Satan. Get behind me, Satan," right? Because I tell you that's a Ponzi scheme. That's a Ponzi scheme. Okay. Thank you, Laura, for coming on. And I'm so sorry about your child. Yeah, your daughter, thank you. She is okay. Thank God. Yes, absolutely. Connected the dots all the way to Exodus 32. Same cult, same behavior. Absolutely. I was reading Samson and Delilah, and I was like, oh my gosh, I could name so many Delilahs in this. And this is kind of how I view like the Erica Kirks. They're like Delilahs. Somebody sent her in to try to discover what power is there and to disable the power, you know. Um, Now, it was that a joint operation. The new sound signature is really very good evidence that suggests that this was an operation against Charlie Kirk. Okay, this was absolutely an operation. That's what the evidence is suggesting, and I know there's ongoing investigations. And the world is investigating, right? The world is investigating. So yeah, but the whole Philistine analogy with Delilah analogy, I can name you so many of that in our son's case, and which is connected to so many other cases because it's connected to the pipeline, right? People say, how can your son's case be so connected to everything? Well, it's connected to those that are running this pipeline. And the pipeline was vast. And yeah, that's why. Okay, I think Nancy Guthrie was abducted and possibly killed by cartels, possibly paid off by either the Clintons or Soros. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's just really, they're covering it a lot. I wish that they would have given Richard just a little bit, just a thimbleful of the time that they're giving the Guthrie case. And I'm very happy they're giving the Guthrie case all this time. But, yeah, it seems something else is going on too. Oh, that is why they had the shutdown 10 nautical air miles around El Paso. Absolutely. The cartels have been flying those drones in for a long, long time. This is not anything new. So there, some other operation was going on, and I call it the vicious negotiation for Richard Halliday's remains. That's what I call it. So, thank you for sharing the truth. Thank you. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for sharing. And we are a government of the people, by the people, for the people. And so the more you share, the more people will be informed. They'll know how to connect all these dots. And we are really doing a lot of work to back up what we're putting out there, and also to earn your trust, so that the truth can get out there. Um, why sharing, and and then that is what is going to drive um, accountability. That's what's going to drive accountability. We the people. That's what's going to drive it. So thank you so much. Also, to the classmate I had in elementary up till middle school who came to pay me a visit this past week, um, scared to see him. Wow. Yeah. It is to live in El Paso right now. I just can't even imagine um, what the spirit in the air is, because there's so many ongoing investigations right now, so many. And when you see Cesar Duarte, who like 20 houses in El Paso, and that kind of control over the city. I mean, these are really valuable houses. It's not like they're $20,000 houses or $100,000 houses. These are very valuable homes, properties. Yeah, that tells you there are ongoing investigations. So, um, yeah, thank you so much, everybody. I think I covered. I wanted to cover. Uh, I wanted to play this. Let's see if I can play this. Let's see.
Hello? Hi, Mrs. Castellano. This is Bob Moore from Matters. Mr. Valenzuela gave me your phone number and said that I could give you a call to talk about the dismissal of the charges against you and your husband and Mr. Barrera. Let's play it one more time because I couldn't hear it. Hi, Mrs. Castellano. This is Bob Moore from Matters. Mr. Valenzuela gave me your phone number and said that I could give you a call to talk about the dismissal of the charges against you and your husband and Mr. Barrera. Is that okay with you? Yes, and I want you to quote me. Okay, so I will never give you a statement. You are a biased political operation who destroyed people's lives and livelihoods, including ours. Everything you published about us was libelous and slanderous. We have no faith in your reporting. It was all malice by you. You cost me my livelihood. Okay. Quote that. Can I talk to you, ask you questions about... I already told you. I will not give you a statement. I will not answer your questions. Before all this started, you didn't reach out for us to find the true story. You missed out on the story. On a story that is worse than you can imagine. I do not wish to speak to you any longer. Do not call again.
Yes, so that was the very brave and amazing Mrs. Castellano, who was absolutely targeted by. You heard it, and they just. It was a political reason for all of this, and that is what really Bob Moore is. He's just a political attack dog for his puppet masters. And yeah, so I just had to play that because it's just so sweet to my ears that this wonderful woman really giving it to Bob Moore, who has absolutely reported lies about our son, about our family. And yeah, I'm just waiting for that day where but can you believe the nerve of him for even calling her? I mean, what a jerk. He's so evil, y'all. He's so evil. He's part of this Mormon faction El Paso cartel too. He is. Along with Felix Valenzuela. Um so yeah, that I wanted to share that with you. Okay, so I also wanted to share something else with you that that was sent to me. And let's see if I can get this. This is the Wolves in Finance. Now, Wolves in Finance were sent a cease and desist by TPUSA, and they're really looking into the financial fraud of TPUSA because Charlie Kirk, before he lost his life, he was wanting a full audit of his own company. He was smelling something stinky in his own company that he wanted an audit. And so Wolves in Finance has been looking into it. And um, I was sent this because they mentioned Fort Huachuca, because Fort Huachuca, of course, is very connected to this whole pipeline, is connected to our son's case, is connected to Fort Bliss. And it talks about, well, I'll play it and then I'll tell you why. Let me see if I went back enough.
Programming money from one department to another. Here we see $447 million transferred because DHS is requesting Department of Defense support for detention operations for illegal alien removal. This money was taken from the Navy's Capital Fund. And there are more orders like this. Here's another example.
Facilities sustainment, restoration, and modernization. That's the fund where money for barracks maintenance and upgrades come from. Upgrades that the government identified as crucial back in 2023 after a scathing report identified unsafe and unsanitary conditions in barracks around the country. WSAV reported exclusively on some of the poor conditions in the barracks at our own Fort Stewart.
The desperation and the depression that's caused by the barracks and the housing.
Now the Pentagon is taking $1 billion of that money away to fund sending more troops to the southern border.
Issues with like washing machines not working, mold, stuff like that. ACs going out, and it's Fort Stewart, so that happening in the middle of the summer is brutal, especially when you've been outside all day in the heat working.
Okay, so you heard it right. Yeah, I should have played it, but anyway. So what this presentation is about is just all this funding that is taken from one place to the other, and they're putting this story out about the very poor conditions of the barracks. And now when everything started happening with Richard, I was absolutely contacted by many different people about a case that was going on against the conditions and the poor building materials that were used in creating the barracks and housing, and that there was all this mold and everything like that. And I'm not going to tell you that I know all the deep things of the case, but I will know that it has to do with Woody Hunt. Woody Hunt, really has control over over 80% of our barracks. And the point that I want to make is that Tony Gonzalez, the representative Tony Gonzalez, year at that time, he was calling for an investigation into Woody Hunt's business. Okay, he was, and yes, the very Tony Gonzalez representative, whose girlfriend in Uvalde just died. Um, and he's married, so it's not a good scene, and I don't even know why he's not. Um, that he didn't turn in his resignation. It was so bad. But this same Tony Gonzalez, um, he absolutely then caved. He was compromised. Okay, he sold his soul to whatever Woody Hunt was selling, and now he's being funded by you know by the very person that he was calling, that there would should be investigations into the conditions in these barracks and housing, right? All the mold and mildew and everything like that. And I think that is really, really important, to what, and I don't think that wolves in finance know this, right? They don't know these cases that have been going on, that this is it's been going on for a long time, these terrible conditions in the barracks and in the housing. And, it might be just something new that they think is being brought up right now. And it's not the case at all. And so there is a lot of politics with that. And there is the Mormon faction El Paso cartel hand in it. And that is Woody Hunt. So, um, and up to no good. Up to no good. Okay. So that is really what I wanted to share with you tonight. And thank you so much. At the middle school, still hasn't been fixed, the fence. Yeah. Yeah, there needs to be a lot of audits. And um, absolutely, we're just getting robbed left and right, left and right. So thank you so much. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow.